All right, so I'm Sabrina from Equissage, and this is Ivano. Um, Today, we're going to talk about listening to the horse, and I think this so often gets overlooked. Um, I feel like it's a huge honor to be able to care for and work with these amazing athletes and creatures. Um, we have a responsibility though, and it's not simply to make sure that they have adequate food and shelter and that their feet are done. It's also to listen to them, to create a partnership with them. And in order to really create a partnership, they also need to feel heard. And I think that that's a missing piece for a lot of people. It really does make a big difference in that partnership. If your horse gets that, if he expresses himself, you're going to listen. So how do they communicate with us? Well, they don't speak English like many of us do, but they use their body language. They use energy. They sometimes it's very subtle. It could be the flicker of an ear, or just the roll of an eye, or a little twitch, the tail swish. They have ways to communicate with us. Under saddle, it could look a little more dramatic. It could look like bucking, rearing, refusing a lead. Some people might think these horses, when they behave in these less than desirable ways, like bucking, rearing, things like that, that it's quick. People could be quick to label them as naughty, nasty, a horse that is untrainable. But I like to think that every horse is pure and good, and I think it's important that we give them the benefit of the doubt and and really just think, like, what are they trying to say? Could it be that something's bothering them? Could it be that something hurts, or that maybe they don't understand something? Maybe we didn't take the time to train them properly and we're pushing them too quickly, or maybe they're not fit enough for what it is that we're asking them to do. There's a lot of different scenarios, but I think that if we were to just stop and think, what is this horse trying to tell me? We could get a lot farther, a lot quicker, and dramatically reduce the risk of injury, improve their temperament. There's so many benefits when a horse really feels heard. And, think about it, like when a horse bucks, for a split moment, they're popping the rider's weight off of their back in here particularly. They're popping the rider's weight off of their back. Could it be that they're getting relief when they buck? Um, when they rear, same thing. They're popping the rider's weight up off of their shoulders. They're getting relief. And when we train horses, we encourage them to move away from pressure. So move away from anything that's uncomfortable. So it's pretty easy to quickly train a horse to buck, to rear, to do these things if they continually go misunderstood. So um, that's, for me, one of the most important things that I teach in my class is I really want every student to walk away feeling like they have a better understanding of the horse and how they communicate. Now, those are all things that we might identify under saddle or when we're working with horses. But what I'd like to do is show you um, an evaluation, and this is a tool that I teach my students, that it really just takes 30 seconds to a minute to just run your hands throughout a horse's body and just get an idea of where there's tension, how much tension, how they're going to respond to you, and if they're really sensitive in certain areas. It gives us an idea of what we're working with. One of the things I teach all of my students is an evaluation. It takes about a minute or so, and it really just gives you an idea of what's going on with the horse. We're not really doing anything about it yet. We do that when we actually massage the horse. But right now, I just want to show you this. It's a tool to give you an idea where they might be hurting, if they're hurting, if there's tension somewhere, how bad it is. Um, and it just gives you an idea of what could be going on with your horse. If you know One of the other things I like to teach my students, or that I teach all my students, is that they understand the anatomy and physiology of the muscular system. So when you understand the functions of the muscles, so where they are and what they do, and you pair that with where the horse has tension, it begins to make sense when you're trying to troubleshoot and figure out why a horse has a hard time or struggles with a certain movement, whether it be like bending to the left. It could mean that there's tension on the right, or picking up a lead. There, that might indicate that there is pain and tension. You know, for instance, the power for the left lead comes from the right hind, and so anything that comes from that right hind, sort of diagonally across their back into this shoulder, if there's a hiccup anywhere in that, along that path of energy, it's going to show up in movement. So the evaluation is really just going to give you a hint as to what could be going on. So the first thing that we do is just gently ask the horse to lower his head. And I hold the halter here at the cheek piece and just apply gentle pressure at the pole. And I'm going to ask this horse, Ivano, to lower his head to the ground. He's not really refusing, but there you go. He's lowering it a little bit. Took a big breath, a little exhale there. Yeah. And he's like, I don't feel like it. Okay, that's fine. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to palpate the top line using my fingers or my thumb at a moderate pressure, um, from the pole all the way over the scapula and all the way to the tail.